Most people believe that financial obstacles are external, bad luck, the economy, circumstances beyond control. But the hidden truth is that the most persistent barriers often come from within. You want to succeed, yet you act in ways that contradict your own goals. You procrastinate, overthink, avoid opportunities, or make choices that seem reasonable in the moment, but ultimately undermine progress. These patterns are subtle, almost invisible, and yet they shape your results more than any external factor ever could. The contradiction is clear. You desire financial growth, but repeatedly engage in behavior that prevents it. Understanding that the enemy is internal changes everything. It forces a recognition that your mind, your fears, and your habits are quietly steering your financial life. Awareness is the first step toward reclaiming control and disrupting the cycle of self-sabotage. You strive for financial success, yet a part of you hesitates almost unconsciously. The deeper truth is that success is threatening. It promises visibility, responsibility, and change, everything that forces you to confront who you really are. This fear doesn't feel like fear. It feels like caution, hesitation, even rationality. You delay decisions, avoid new ventures, or second-guess opportunities, convinced you are protecting yourself. Yet each act of avoidance strengthens the very barrier you fear, keeping you in a loop of stagnation. The paradox is undeniable. The same desire that drives you toward success also fuels the behaviors that prevent it. Recognizing this conflict exposes a hidden psychological mechanism, revealing that the real obstacle isn't circumstance or skill. It's the tension between wanting growth and fearing the consequences of having it. We often assume our financial choices are rational, but beneath the surface, emotions quietly dictate our actions. Anxiety about risk, guilt over spending, or self-doubt about deserving success subtly push us to avoid opportunities or make impulsive decisions that contradict our long-term goals. You may justify inaction as prudence or spending as reward, yet both are shaped by feelings rather than logic. These emotional blocks are invisible architects of self-sabotage, reinforcing habits that limit growth. Every hesitation, every postponed investment, every decision avoided is an echo of unresolved internal conflicts. Understanding these hidden drivers is crucial because the more we act unconsciously, the more our behaviors reinforce the patterns that prevent us from achieving the success we claim to want. Awareness begins to fracture the unseen chains holding us back. It's a paradox few acknowledge. Sometimes the very idea of achieving financial success triggers discomfort. Success carries expectations, visibility, and responsibility, all of which demand a version of yourself you may not feel ready to become. This fear manifests subtly. You might procrastinate on opportunities, avoid strategic decisions, or even undermine your progress through small but consistent, self-defeating actions. It's not laziness or lack of skill. It's an internal tension between ambition and apprehension. Each time you hold back, the pattern strengthens, creating a psychological trap where the pursuit of success becomes intertwined with fear. Understanding that self-sabotage often stems from the fear of thriving, rather than the fear of failing, exposes a hidden dynamic that quietly dictates your financial trajectory. There is a strange comfort in staying where you know the terrain, even if it leads to repeated failure. Familiar patterns, even destructive ones, feel safer than the uncertainty of change. You continue habits that sabotage progress because the alternative, stepping into new territory, feels unpredictable, threatening, and emotionally taxing. Each small act of repetition, each choice to remain within familiar boundaries, reinforces the invisible walls keeping you from growth. The contradiction is subtle. Safety feels protective, but it is the very thing that prevents advancement. Recognizing the allure of familiar failure is crucial, because until you see that comfort as a form of self-imposed limitation, your behaviors will continue to produce results misaligned with your true goals. Awareness becomes the first step toward escaping this cycle. Many financial choices are not truly our own. They are shaped by the silent pressure to be seen as successful. We buy, invest, or save, not because it aligns with our goals, but to signal achievement to others. The decisions may feel deliberate, rational, even strategic, yet their motivation is external: approval, recognition, or comparison. This reliance on external validation creates subtle sabotage. You may overextend, delay key actions, or prioritize appearances over substance, believing that success measured by others' eyes will bring security. The hidden truth is that seeking validation rarely satisfies internal needs. Every decision made to impress reinforces patterns that undermine authentic growth. Recognizing the influence of others' expectations is essential to reclaim agency and begin making choices aligned with your true values. Our relationship with money is not formed overnight. It is shaped long before we ever earn a paycheck. The subtle lessons, behaviors, and beliefs absorbed in childhood create patterns that persist into adulthood. Scarcity, overcaution, or even entitlement can emerge from these early experiences, quietly guiding choices without conscious awareness. You might avoid opportunities, fear success, or sabotage growth simply because of the emotional associations you learned long ago. These patterns operate beneath the surface, giving the illusion of rationality while dictating behavior in ways that contradict your goals. Recognizing that these subconscious drivers exist is the first step in disentangling inherited beliefs from intentional strategy, allowing you to confront and reshape the mental framework that has silently controlled your financial life. The tension between instant gratification and long-term vision is at the heart of self-sabotage. We know what decisions would benefit us in the future, yet we often choose immediate pleasure or comfort instead. That new gadget, a night out, or an impulsive investment may feel rewarding in the moment, but it often undermines long-term goals. The brain is wired to respond more intensely to short-term rewards, making the delay of gratification psychologically challenging. Each impulsive choice reinforces patterns that prioritize temporary relief over strategic growth. Understanding this dynamic is crucial because it exposes how subtle emotional impulses can derail rational planning. Recognizing the lure of immediacy allows you to consciously pause, reflect, and act in alignment with your long-term objectives, breaking the cycle of impulsive sabotage. Perfectionism can feel like a virtue, but in finances, it often becomes a form of self-sabotage. The need to get every decision just right creates hesitation and delay. You analyze endlessly, wait for the perfect opportunity, or avoid acting altogether, believing that inaction is safer than risk. This paralysis disguises itself as prudence, but it quietly prevents progress. The contradiction is stark. Striving for flawlessness can keep you trapped in mediocrity, while taking imperfect action would advance your goals. Recognizing the grip of perfectionism reveals a hidden mechanism. Your fear of making mistakes is more limiting than any external risk. Only by accepting that uncertainty is inevitable can you begin to act decisively, moving past the paralysis that has silently undermined your financial growth. Fear of missing out operates quietly but powerfully in financial decisions. Seeing others seize opportunities or flaunt success triggers anxiety, compelling you to act impulsively to keep up. You may chase trends, invest hastily, or spend beyond your means, believing that delay will cost you. The hidden mechanism is social comparison. The need to match others' perceived achievements overrides rational strategy. Decisions driven by FOMO rarely align with long-term goals, creating a cycle of reactive behavior. Recognizing the influence of this fear exposes how easily external pressures hijack your financial choices. Once you see that FOMO is an emotional trigger, you can pause, evaluate, and make intentional decisions rooted in strategy, not the fleeting fear of being left behind. We all rationalize choices that contradict our long-term goals, often without realizing it. This is cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that arises when actions conflict with values, resolved by reshaping beliefs rather than behaviors. You might tell yourself that an impulsive purchase was necessary, that a risky investment is justified, or that a delayed opportunity wasn't critical. Each rationalization reinforces patterns of self-sabotage, making it easier to repeat mistakes in the future. The hidden truth is that preserving self-image often outweighs pursuing actual growth. By recognizing this subtle internal mechanism, you can begin confronting uncomfortable truths, breaking the cycle of justification, and aligning decisions with your authentic objectives rather than convenient excuses. The shift from scarcity to abundance begins with a simple but profound recognition. There is more opportunity than fear will allow you to see. Scarcity thinking convinces you that resources are limited, that risk is dangerous, and that safety comes from holding on tightly. Abundance thinking, however, reframes these assumptions. It allows you to view challenges as opportunities, setbacks as lessons, and resources as tools rather than threats. The tension between fear and possibility is subtle, operating beneath conscious awareness, but it dictates every choice. By consciously shifting perspective, you begin to make decisions based on growth, not protection. Each intentional action gradually rewires thought patterns, replacing hesitation with clarity, fear with strategic confidence, and reactive behaviors with purposeful steps toward genuine financial freedom. True financial growth occurs when your actions align with your deepest values, rather than impulses, fears, or external pressures. Each decision you make, whether to invest, save, or spend, is a reflection of your internal state. Patterns of self-sabotage emerge when unconscious drives dominate choices, steering behavior away from long-term objectives. Recognizing these hidden influences allows you to act with intention, breaking free from the automatic responses that have hindered progress. The subtle tension between habit and purpose is revealed, and clarity emerges when decisions are rooted in self-awareness. Internal mastery does not eliminate uncertainty, but it transforms it into a framework for deliberate, thoughtful action, where each choice reinforces your goals instead of undermining them. Financial freedom is not measured by the size of your bank account or the assets you accumulate. It is reflected in the control you have over your mind and decisions. Every act of self-sabotage, every hesitation, and every impulsive choice stems from internal conflicts and subconscious fears. When you recognize these patterns, you gain the ability to act deliberately, making decisions that align with your true goals rather than emotional impulses. Mastery of your internal landscape transforms not only your financial behavior, but your perception of opportunity and risk. The paradox is clear. Wealth is not the external prize, but the internal clarity and intentionality that guide each choice. When fear no longer dictates action, and decisions are aligned with values, genuine financial freedom emerges, not as an endpoint, but as a reflection of self-mastery realized in every deliberate choice.